Hey friends, I just decided to share a little video with you. I'm down here in this gulch today outside of Prescott, in part because there's a fierce wind, southwest wind blowing up in the higher country, so I came down into this gulch. I've been here before. I knew about these petroglyphs, but I thought that I would share them with you as we are starting to move from thinking about paleoecology over into the cultural history. You see quite a few bighorns over on this particular panel. It's just a great place to come. But the reason that I wanted to share this with you today is because I was looking around. I know that this place was pretty well occupied. There's some old villages here from about 1200 years ago to about 800 years ago. And so I find myself wondering, geez, what did the landscape look like then? Probably the same sort of general topography was certainly already in place, but the vegetation, how different was that? I'm looking around, and actually, let me just show you a couple more of these cool little figures. Harder to see over here on this part, but I'm going to let you see the surrounding landscape now. We're at a place where we're coming out of the pine woods down into more pinyon and juniper, and that's not surprising for here. But none of these trees would have been living back then. Some of the junipers get pretty old, maybe 400 years or so, but you know, the pines certainly wouldn't have been here yet. So what did it look like? That's the kind of question that, because of the bioregional research that I've done and I've seen my students do, I'm always asking. And so I'll continue to do research figuring out what was the climate like 1,000 years ago. That place is pretty much right in the middle of the heavily inhabited period of this region. We've got some pretty remarkable dwellings within 45 miles of here or so. Montezuma Castle, for example. And this is actually a convergence of different people. There were Sinagwan people that are associated with the Montezuma Castle, who show at least trade influences with the ancestral Pueblans up north from the Colorado Plateau. And we also see Hohokam relics in this area, and including some of the towns had these ball courts that are pretty characteristic of Hohokam villages. So most of what I've been able to understand so far is that at one period the Hohokam down from the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, that area, probably had colonies up this north, or at least trade relationships with the people that were intensive enough, I guess, for those people to absorb some of the basic village structures and that sort of thing. I'm actually going to come back over here just a moment as I try to wrap this up, just so that you can get a look again at some of the great petroglyphs here. Apparently there were people here before the Yavapai showed up, which would have been about 500 years ago, at least according to the archaeological record. Those would have been Patayan-speaking people, it seems, ancestors of the different human tribes. But who was here before them? We don't really know. Frequently you'll see mentions of the ones who came before and that sort of thing. In addition to the desert bighorn sheep that we see around here, you'll see some different kinds of petroglyphs.